Shalom Aleichem, Mishpachim. We are in a new day in Tanya. We are in the 3rd of Tevet, the month of Tevet, the 3rd. All right. Tanya is 51. The 3rd of Tevet, chapter 4. All right, here we go. For Friday's reading. In today's lesson, the definition of klipa, literally shell, is something which obstructs the godly light by its own being, rather than surrender to it and merely channel godliness. There are two levels of obstruction, one opaque, one translucent. That which is forbidden, evil, is opaque. Anything, however, that does not surrender itself to God, but considers itself as if it is a thing separate unto itself, does not receive its life from the holiness of God. But where else would it receive its vitality? Godliness and holiness is the source of vitality for every existing being, as it is written, "You give life to them all." The Alter Rebbe goes on to qualify his previous remark, stating that those beings which do not surrender themselves to God receive their vitality only from the superficial, external level of godliness, and from this level, too, only when it descends degree by degree through numerous contractions of the life force. To return to the Alter Rebbe's words, the self-styled separate being does not receive its vitality from the pinimut, the inner aspect of holiness, from its very essence and core, but from its achraim, its hind part, so to speak. To bestow from one's pinimut, literally one's face, means, as explained in chapter 22, to give with a pleasurable will and desire. Achraim, literally behind one's back, means to bestow without desire or pleasure, out of some extenuating factor. The giver's attitude will be apparent in either case, in his matter of giving. If one gives something to his enemy, for example, he will avert his face from him. For one's face represents his inner feelings, since the giver's heart is not in his gift. He turns his face away, presenting his enemy with his back. Thus, pinimut and achraim, in the case of its internal and its external aspects of one's will, are related to their literal meanings, face and rear. In our context, everything in the realm of holiness, whose existence and life of God desires, In our context, everything in the realm of holiness, whose existence and life God desires, receives its life from the pinimut of godliness, while the klipot, in which God has no desire, has, since he created them only for the reasons given in the paragraphs in introducing this chapter, received their life from achraim of godliness. This limited form of life force reaches the klipot by descending degree by degree through myriads of levels in the chain-like descent of the worlds in the manner of cause and effect. The higher level is the cause for the lower level which emerges from it. However, in a descent which is a sequence of cause and effect, the effect, although lower, is always comparable to the cause. Such descents, no matter how numerous, would be insufficient to produce the low level of vitality bestowed upon klipot. This can be produced only by the descent of the vitality through tzimtzum. As the Alter Rebbe now continues, the vitality descends also through many tzimtzumim, or contractions, and this process diminishes the vitality to the point where it is incomparably lower than in its original state. So greatly diminished does the light and life force become diminution. After diminution, until it is able to become contracted and clothed in a manner of exile, meaning that instead of being surrendered to the divine life force, the object in which the vitality is clothed masters it, as, for example, a captive in exile is mastered by his captors. The vitality is thus in a state of exile within that object, which considers itself separate from holiness, giving it vitality and existence, causing that object to pass from non-existence to existence, so that it does not return to its original state of non-existence, as it was before it was created by the vitality clothed in it. In brief, all that is not surrendered to God, but considers itself separate from Him, receives its vitality from the achoraim of godliness by way of numerous descents and various contractions. The divine life force is concealed within it in a state of exile. Thus, it belongs to the realm of Klippa. It is now clear why any thought, word, or action not directed towards serving God, hence not surrendered to godliness, is a garment of the animal soul that derives from Klippa, even if that thought, word, or deed is not actually evil. That is why this world, with all it contains, is called the world of Klipot and Sitra Achra, despite the fact that this world too receives its vitality from God's holiness. Since the creatures of this physical world feel themselves to be independent, separate beings, and their surrender to godliness is not apparent, they automatically belong to the realm of Klippa. This is also why all affairs of this world are severe and evil, and the wicked prevail in it, as it is written in Eitz Chaim. In the following note, referring to his previous statement that this is a world of Klipot, the Alter Rebbe writes that this is so notwithstanding the fact that godliness pervades all existence. Or, stated in the terminology of the Kabbalah, that God's infinite light, or Ein Sof, clothes itself in the Sephirot of the four worlds, Atzilus, Beria, Yetzira, and Asiya. The world of emanation, the world of creation, the world of formation, and the world of action. And thereby, even this physical world is filled with the Or Ein Sof, yet, despite all this, it is still a world of Klipot. To be sure, this world contains the 10 Sephiros of the world of Asiya, as is written in Eitz Chaim, Portal 43. The world of Asiya, the world of action, comprises both our physical world and the spiritual world of Asiya. The Sephiros of the spiritual Asiya are, however, contained in the physical Asiya as well. Now, within these 10 Sephirot of Asiya are contained the 10 Sephirot of the world of Yetzirah, and within them the 10 Sephirot of the world of Beria, and in them the 10 Sephirot of the world of Atzilut, in which abides the Or Ein Sof. Thus the Or Ein Sof pervades this entire lowest world by being clothed in the 10 Sephirot of the four worlds, Atzilus, Beria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, as is written in Eitz Chaim. Yet, because the creatures of this world are not openly surrendered to God, this is a world of Klipot and Sitra Achra. Until here, it has been explained that all thoughts, utterances, and actions that are not directed towards holiness are Sitra Achra, and that these are the garments by which the animal soul expresses itself. But this merely places the garments on a par with the animal soul itself, which, like them, stems from the Sitra Achra. It was explained earlier, however, that the garments of the divine soul are of a higher spiritual level than the soul itself, and elevated, and that the animal soul is structured as a mirrored image of the divine soul. It follows then that the animal soul's garments are on an even lower level than the animal soul itself, and that they degrade it. The Alter Rebbe goes on to explain that this is indeed the case, after a discussion of the two categories of Klippa mentioned in the introduction to this chapter. He concludes that there are those garments of the animal soul that drag down the soul from the level of Klipot Noga, the soul's natural state, to the level of the three completely impure Klipot. These are sinful thoughts and forbidden words and actions. However, the Klipot are divided into two categories, one lower than the other. The lower category consists of three completely unclean and evil Klipot containing no good whatever. In the prophet Ezekiel's vision of the divine chariot, in which he saw and described the forces that conceal godliness, they are described as a storm wind, a great cloud, and a flaring fire, representing these three holy, unclean Klipot. From them flow and are derived the souls of all the nations of the world, and the sustaining force of their bodies, which sustains their existence apart from the soul, which animates them. Also derived from these Klipot are the souls of all living creatures that are unclean and forbidden to be eaten, and the sustaining force of their bodies, the existence and life of all forbidden vegetation too, such as orla, the first three years fruit of a tree, and a mixture of grain seeds in a vineyard, and so forth, are derived from these Klipot, as is written in Eitz Chaim. Similarly, the existence and life of any act, utterance, or thought in violation of any one of the 365 biblical prohibitions, as well as the rabbinical offshoots, are all derived from these three impure klipot, as is written there. The animal soul, on the other hand, is a klipat noiga, which contains an element of good, as mentioned in chapter 1. These sinful garments, belonging to the realm of holy, impure klipot, are thus lower than the animal soul itself, and drag it down to their level, in exact opposition to the divine soul's garments of the thought, speech, and action of Torah and the mitzvot, which are higher than the soul and elevated. The takeaway: everything that happens receives energy from God. It may even possess evil, but God sustains its existence. The question is why? And that is the Tanya reading for 3rd of Tevet. Have a wonderful day and Shabbat Shalom.